share my screen. I don't know if there's anything, Amy, that you guys were going to go over first, or if I should just jump into it. I don't know if
I don't
everyone's
have
here.
anything. Jess, do you have an intro of any kind? I don't know where Jess. There she is. She disappeared. What happened?
Jess is trying to get logged in on her big screen. So
Oh, gotcha.
No, just keep in mind that this is the intro and refresh. We will find ways to use this as a CMR, and it will be a lot of trial and error of what works too. So we'll be sharing tips and tricks with this in order to figure out how to use it. But the main purpose right now is just to get some familiarity with some of the things you learned back in the summit days.
Yeah, I think the last time these were gone over was like June of 22 or June of 23, June of 23. And so it's been quite a while. All right. So, and I apologize, I have to have Zoom on my computer desktop and then logging in to the remote portion. So I won't actually be able to see the camera or all the funny faces I make as I think to myself and make sure I'm explaining it correctly. Okay, let's see if I remember how to share screen.
Big green button on the bottom or the top, depending on your
There it is.
screen.
Yeah. All right. Of course, that's going to be all in the way here. So does everyone, can you see the one screen, or can you see two screens?
Just one screen.
Okay. And this is where it gets, there we go. So I'll kind of have to jump back and forth. So these are the instructions that were sent out or given back when everyone had the big meet in Bemidji. I know everyone knows how to get into NetSuite, right? Or at least how to get into like your employee center portion so you can see your paychecks. I don't do anything with sales or expense reports, so I apologize. I'm going to have to defer any questions about that over to Leanne and Kim. But as far as getting into NetSuite when you log in, Amy, you had said that you found a way to get it so that it pulls up on the iPad, right?
Yep, they can bookmark it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Oops, I was gonna try and just log out and go from the beginning. And I'm naughty and I saved my password on here because. And so when you are in here, you want to make sure that you see the pinnacle up at the top. I don't know if sales reps have access to Sandbox. That would be
they do,
something for. Okay, so make sure.
No, we took away access for most of them to Sandbox just because it was confusing. So Sandbox is like a test environment. And like I said, it kind of got confusing because sometimes they would go back into that. So for the most part, we tried to just take that functionality away because it's more of a test site. Yep.
When we also found that some of the instructions created, some features aren't in Sandbox for some reason. And I don't know why. Amy and I discovered that and I was like, odd. Okay. So just make sure that it says Pinnacle up here and not Sandbox. You guys, I think, have just the Employee Center and then you'll have the Marketing Sales Consultant roles. So you'll want to be in that one. I wonder if I can just share my entire screen so that way if it'll bring up. So I can have the instructions on one and I'm not trying to flip-flop back and forth here. How's that? Can you guys see them both now?
I can see yellow magic and your instructions.
That's it?
Oh, I see.
You can't see.
I just see. No.
Oh, bummer. Okay. So you can't see NetSuite anymore?
No.
All right. We will go back to the other way then. And I'll just make do. Okay. So I mean everyone has the instructions, right? Yes. I don't want to patronize you guys or anything. I'd be like, okay, step by step, I'm gonna hold your hand because you guys aren't toddlers. So, in the instructions, I did put that if you type CU and the 2 dots, lack of sleep, brain freeze, not a semicolon,
Colon.
but the colon. It is easier, I've found, to bring up customer information because if you were to go and pull up, say, Citizens Mutual, you're going to also probably see a bunch of PDFs because we make payments to them or for their commission. There's also things related to the projects. So I advise the easiest way is the CU colon, and then you can type in the customer's name. Or if you have the account number, that will pull it directly up. You do have to type the entire 10 digits, no hyphens in between. So in the examples, I use kid exterminating. And you just start typing in and it will pull it right up. So this is a customer record. If you click dash for dashboard, it's going to look really ugly and it's super confusing. So just make sure you click just their name. Accounting and customer service will sometimes put comments in here. So this customer is set up on autopay for web and print, and they want emailed receipts. So they are on reoccurring payments. Invoice delivery is down here. That will go over, and it's a little bit confusing because the reoccurring only applies if they are a digital and print customer. But it lets you know this customer is getting emailed invoices and statements sent to them. And this is the email that it is going to. And I apologize, pay stand is in here a little bit, and these features will be going away because we are getting rid of the pay stand payment system. It just turned out to not be a very good fit for Pinnacle, and they weren't able to integrate into NetSuite like they thought they could. And so I'm hoping, and I've asked Leanne to check with our NetSuite contact, that we can change this to just multiple email recipients. So that way you'll know if this account has any other email addresses associated with it for billing purposes. So when we send stuff to the customer for their billing, you'll know that, well, this is the primary email that it will always go to. And then these are email addresses that will also receive a copy in a separate email. If they have digital, their website is listed up here. And down here, we try to have their account manager listed. It is not always on there. I know that digital has been slowly integrating into NetSuite as well and trying to make sure that all of that is updated. Occasionally, it's also in the comments. It'll say, you know, account manager Tyler, and it has his extension. If I'm going too fast, slow me down, please. Let's see. Address. This is not going to be the applicant address always. It's going to be the billing address. So if this customer was receiving their billing by mail, this is the address it's going to go to. One thing to note is accounting just met with some of the sales support team, is that if a customer has a multi-book, or I think it's multi-book, whenever they are in more than one book, but it's the same account number. I know Yellow Magic will have like the dash and the 4 zeros or dash 0001 for billing purposes. And because NetSuite only recognizes the first 10 numbers, their address name and actual address. So their billing name and billing address have to match. That includes if there's the 4 digits for their zip code area. Otherwise, NetSuite, when we upload our invoices, NetSuite will continuously flip-flop it back and forth. In the instance where, say, Kid Exterminating advertises in Medford Rib Lake and they advertise in Nottoway Valley. I know those aren't even close to each other, but just examples. And for Medford Rib Lake, they want their billing sent to one place. And for Nottoway Valley, they want it sent to another. Because NetSuite doesn't have that same function as Yellow Magic with the separate accounts of dash 0000 and 01, we would have to create a separate account in NetSuite for them. And a lot of times we do our best to, I'll pull up another one. We do our best to put in the comments that customer, for us in accounting, it's a works with. So when we get payments, we know, hey, this payment isn't matching this account that they said it goes to. Oh, hey, they also have this other account in NetSuite, and so we can look at that. And I think that'll probably be touched on by Jess and Amy with you guys as well, just making sure that to help clear up those confusing billing aspects for the customer themselves. If it is a telephone company and they participate in a publishing agreement for that directory, their invoice delivery is going to say telco billing and then email or print. If you have any changes that need to be made to any field in the customer's record, you can email customer service or you can email billing. I think you guys have those email addresses. Customer services, customer service at Pinnacle, and then billing is billing at pinnaclemgp.com, of course. So say the customer says, I need to update my address now before I get my next statement or my next invoice, just shoot us an email. There are multiple individuals in both of those email groups, and so someone will be able to get to it right away. I know Lori is more part-time now, so she only works Tuesday through Thursdays. Susan can sometimes be in and out depending on what she's got going on with appointments. But billing could, if you need something done absolutely immediately, billing would be the best one. But if it's something that is fine to wait a day or two, then go ahead and email customer service. Let's see what else. So I suppose, so you guys, are you wanting to, so it's not exactly a CMR. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's your ability to be able to see any bills that they've had, invoices that they've been sent, any invoices that have been sent to them. There we go. Payments that they have made. Did they have any bad debt or a credit memo? Meaning, did it go to collections? Did they dispute the charge? And so underneath sales, and then you'll want to go to transactions. And I know it looks kind of ugly. We've done our best to kind of keep it to exactly what you guys would need to see without being too confusing. If a customer is on installments, you will see that their document number, the invoice number, is listed several times. And that shows how many installments they have for that invoice. And so this one is on monthly. They have 12 installments. Well, there's a chat. I apologize. Jess, yes and no. So there are some times where Pinnacle bills local customers for the telco, and they will be in here. And the only way to know is, so if you, any of these documents, if you right click and open a new tab, you can just click on it as well, but I always open a new tab. Come on. It will tell you down here, directory advertising and foreign. But yes, NetSuite is going to primarily be for foreign customers and telephone companies that we bill for. Occasionally there will be those local customers. I think, what's one that we bill? I think in Nottoway Valley, we bill Lennox customers that are local. And I honestly don't think there are any or have been any in the last couple of years. And marketing, if you mean the digital customers, yes, all digital billing is through here as well. And so I'm going to jump back maybe. Is there a way to like get that to minimize and stay minimized? All right. So this will tell you
I
if
think
it's
only if you go full screen.
okay. And if I
Back to the
tried
local
that.
foreign thing, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead, jump in at any time.
I think when we met with Mandy, she said there's the potential to add in local customers down the line once we start using this more too.
Yes. Yep.
So
There is, and what we want to make sure though is because we're talking about thousands of local customers being imported into here. And so we only want to do that, I think right now, including not inactive, but customers that haven't been made inactive, but are no longer advertising. They used to, but they're not anymore. NetSuite currently has 17,000 customers in it. That includes telephone companies, the foreign, the local that we bill, all the digital customers. And so when we're talking about that for just foreign and digital and telephone companies, there's at least that much for the local as well. So we want to make sure that you guys are going to use it. If you want local customers in there, absolutely, we can import those in as well. Let's see. So here we'll tell you the date that the invoice was, I'm back up a little bit. It'll tell you the type. So as of right now, I think you guys can see client invoice, payment, and credit memos, because those are the most important. It will tell you the date that that invoice was entered into NetSuite. And so these are always going to be the same. And it keeps popping up. This tells you how much the invoice initially was. So for Glasgow 2024, their contract was $6,211.20. And their installments every month, they have $517.60 that they pay. Amount remaining is after any payments that they have made. I was going to see if you need to see past, oh, hey, what was their Glasgow 23 contract? You can go and check those. It might take a little bit depending on how many books they advertise in. Do they also have digital? Are they on installments? And then, you know, and I totally spaced. I think most of you, if you have been in NetSuite, this view is not going to be updated right away if you have not. So you'll want to make sure that you change to MSC view. And I know that is in the instructions. So right away when you click on sales and transactions, I did put immediately that you'll want to update your view. Contracts are not in NetSuite. They are only in M files, as far as I know. Every now and then a customer might have been emailed a copy of their contract, and I can get to that. That'll be underneath collaboration, but I wouldn't count on them always being in there. Again, it's only if the customer requests it. And so I'll keep this, see if I can keep this here so that way when something pops up, I can see it. Billing status is going to show you as a default as either. So all the invoices that are open, all the invoices that have been closed or paid in full. If you want to help narrow it down, you can click just open and that will show you their current. So as of right now, and this memorized isn't actually an invoice, it's just this customer also has a digital billing. And so the 15th or the 14th of every month, a new digital invoice is automatically created so that Mandy doesn't have to put them in by hand. And memo for digital is always blank. They don't put anything in there. Any questions? Am I going too fast? Not making enough sense? Okay.
Nope, you're good.
Also on this screen, the transaction screen, it's going to say a due date or receive by. And that's going to let you know when the customer's next payment for that invoice is due. So if they're on installments, especially. The only tricky part is say that it is currently January 3rd of 2025 and this customer hasn't made a payment. This is still going to say November 15th because that's when their last payment was due. So not only are they behind on November, but they're also behind on December. And might want to encourage them to go ahead and submit their January payment as well, since it's already the 3rd. I wonder if I can find one that does have credit memos. I don't remember if I stuck one in there or not. Just so you know, anytime that you change this billing status, if I leave it on open, when I go to open a new customer screen, it's going to stay on open. It defaults to whatever you've left it on last. Just as a heads up, when I very first started and with NetSuite, I was like, I can't see any of their new invoices. They're not there. And Kim had to politely remind me. She's like, you might want to change your billing status. So she was nice about it, I promise.
Maybe a little
She
bit.
was a little snarky, but that's Kim. It's okay. I totally deserve it from her. I give her such a hard time. So next to sales is the financial tab, and this is going to once again be another looks ugly screen. I'm used to it by now, so it's like, whatever. But when I remember when I first started, I was like, what in the world? Can't we clean this up? Balance and consolidated are essentially the same. It's their overall unpaid invoiced amount. So this I don't have to read the numbers off to you guys. That balance includes their Glasgow 2024 that has not been paid yet, and it's also counting their open digital invoice that just went out on Monday or Tuesday this week. If they are behind, it's going to fall into these buckets. So say that they also had their last month's digital invoice. This 1 through 30 days is going to show the $59.95 in there. So if you are ever, I don't know if you guys will use this when you're with a customer to say, you know, just, hey, yep, this is what billing or accounting currently has as your balance due. Because I know Lori does like is it a 215 or a non-pay report? And when she does those, it can be weeks or maybe a month before you guys actually are working that book or in that area. And so you have to check with her to see, did they make a payment? This will also show you that. And so if they say, yeah, I sent in a payment, well, did we receive it? It's going to tell you. I wonder if I pull up Johnny's again quick. Because he's going to be a good one for when I go over collaboration. And he's actually one where he's not good with making his payments. His, I don't know if she's her reception. I think Debbie is her name. Reception does it, but she's also can be difficult to catch by phone sometimes. But Lori and her have a great relationship as far as I know, or at least Johnny and Lori do when it comes to phone calls. And so with his going to financial, he is behind a little bit. And so this overdue part, Lori will call and say, hey, as of right now, you're $138.80 past due. That's what you owe. If you want to include next month's payment as well, add an extra $69.80 or $69.40 to your payment. So that's kind of a nice way to quickly view what the customer owes. So he's behind on 2 installments right now on this account. But like I said, Lori calls them and catches it. So in that part, if you go next to financial is collaboration, this is going to include information that the customer may have been sent by email. If they were, when SciTech and NSite and some TDS customers recently had, not recently, it's been a while now, had a price increase for their digital accounts. I think they were at like $20 a month. And so everyone got bumped up to the 40 minimum. Any customers that were sent that notice was put into their files. This area is going to include that information from customer service. Sometimes it will say customer was set up on reoccurring if it's not already mentioned in the comments section up here. Like this one, ACH, but they don't want to keep it on file. So when Lori calls them, she has to take the information down every time. Activities isn't really used right now. I think every now and then digital might have a note or two in there, but it's rarely used, at least not by accounting or customer service. So messages. Lori just talked to, nope, sorry. Lori sent an email they made a payment. So if I go back to sales and transactions, there was a payment on September 25th. And under collaboration, you can see that Lori had emailed them, john.stanley.storm, that payment receipt. If you want to view that message, you certainly can click view or right click and open, and it'll show you the exact message that the customer was sent. It'll also show you if it was sent to anyone else under recipients. Attachments is also going to be from over here. So here's our payment receipt. They made a lovely payment of over $500, and this was all the invoices that it was applied to, which it is the same invoice, but it covered due dates. So this installment was due January all the way through the end of October. I'm sorry, end of August. I know on another one he's got some more messages. There's one. So here's another one where there's payments. Digital, if they send out a website notice that the customer is past due, that's going to be in here. Again, we went over files and then user notes. So this is where Lori, especially with the collections process, will document that she left a call or she left a message or she called, who she spoke to, what amount she gave them. And if you want to see those, you can, I'm not sure why it's saying edit. Thought before it had a number. You're more than welcome to open it. And it will tell you all the details of it. So it was a phone call, outgoing, this date, this time, and that she left a message for payment.
I think in notes, they leave you an edit because like if that person calls you back, instead of adding a new note, you can go in and say, okay, they called me back on such and such date. This is the resolution.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think it matters much if you create a new note or not. I think if you do, say Johnny called you and you want to edit the note, I'd maybe add something in the title to, you know, let's see, because you guys wouldn't take payments, but you can just add something relative to the scenario, the event, or what you guys talked about. That bugger. So again, let's see what else would go in there. Susan handles our returned mail, so anything that has returned mail would go in there. If a customer says that they need to update their address, that can be included in there as well, especially when customer service updates the address in NetSuite. They try to also make sure that it's updated in Yellow Magic. And then they'll need to also email sales support to let them know that they did that because the contract's already been verified or proofed. When Missy and I go to do our billing lists and they don't match, we're gonna email them and make them look into something that they didn't need to. Let's see.
I think too, if Jess has a note in chat that if
Did it? Yeah.
the reps make a phone call for a collection attempt, they should also put a
Yes.
note in here too.
Yeah,
That way
that would
customer
be.
service, Lori in customer service also has that note that they have made that attempt also.
It didn't pop up like I had hoped it would. So yes, very good, Jess. That would be helpful for Lori because she has a lovely spreadsheet that she pulls and she goes through and she calls customers. And so if she goes in there and sees that that note is already there, maybe she'll email you instead, or she'll just know, yep, so-and-so talked to this customer yesterday and they said they're going to send in a payment. We do get that a lot where, oh, I mailed it. You just haven't gotten it yet. And then 2 weeks later. And so, so I guess the next part would be creating the note, and I'm hoping that it will show you guys the pop-up. Can
It
you see
does.
it? It does? Okay, good. I know last time I went over this, I don't think it did. So just hitting a new note, you'll make the title something relevant to the matter or event. The date and time will autofill for you, but say customer called you at 7:30 or something, and you're just now getting around to documenting it, you can change it. It's not a big deal. Title it, it's phone conversation, phone call, or Johnny called regarding concerns about his bill. And so you referred him to, you talked about what he's currently getting for on his contract, what his specifics are for his ad listings and what he's receiving. And then he said he wanted to make a payment, and you said to give customer service a call at the 1-800 number. The type, there's lots of different ones. Most of the letter is what Lori will use for when she sends her love letters. Otherwise, if it's just a note or a phone call or, whichever one is going to be best for you guys to use in that time. And then direction usually only refers to if it's a phone call, unless you did send the customer a letter or something. Well, and then the memo is the message. So, I think there are a few times where the customer has given you a payment to mail into the office. It wouldn't hurt to document those. Customer provided me with a check for their advertising in such and such directory. I mailed it to the Pinnacle office on this date. And so in that sense, it would just be a note, and there would not be a direction because, if you wanted to put outgoing, you could, or incoming because you got it. It doesn't matter. So there are also ways that, say you're with the customer and they want to receive a copy of their invoice or their statement. I do have instructions for you guys to be able to do that, but we agreed that I don't want to overload you with a bunch of new information, especially since it's been so long since you guys have had access to it. I think everyone got access to NetSuite, and then we were like, just kidding. We're gonna take that back now. So any questions what we've gone over? Trying to think if I missed anything. Like I said, this Paystan information, this just says that they have a token saved with Paystan. That'll be going away. I'm trying to think.
I think the biggest chunk for sales on this is going to be this note part. Because in one of our last meetings we had, we talked about being able to save down somewhere customer information. So if you don't get this account back next year, you have that personal information about the customer. So you don't have to relearn anything about this customer that somebody who's had them for the past 3 years already knows. This is a spot you can do that. These notes aren't just for billing information. So you can put in information about the customer there.
Yeah.
They're a big Packers fan. They like Chevys, they hate Fords, whatever your information about that customer, they've owned the business for 43 years. They got it from their dad. All that information, all that knowledge you have on this customer that you need to remember for next year and the year after and the year after, this is where you can put that information. You talked about websites for the last 2 years and you think he's finally ready to bite next year. So you have to remember to talk to him about that. That's where you're going to put this. This is how you're going to use this as a CMR.
But we're not going to want to document on all of our customers, right? Just
No, just the
like
ones that
important
you're
ones.
like, I need, just the ones you
Yeah,
know that this
kind
is
of.
where I need to save that. Yeah.
Okay.
That, or maybe you made a connection with them and you don't happen to get that account next year. At least the rep that's going in next year has something to kind of not buddy, but break the ice a little bit easier. I don't know. I'm amazed. I am not a good salesperson. And I tend to be, I like having a to-do list, but I don't like going into new places. And so breaking the ice with people is definitely a hard part for me. So if I were to become a sales rep, not going to happen, but just knowing like, hey, they really like this, or just something to be able to start engaging conversation so it's easier to talk with them. So yeah, I definitely, I can add that into the instructions as well. Maybe it's just title it something along the lines of customer information, something so that you guys will all have a central, or not a central, but a common title. So that way, when you are going into a new account that someone else had for the last 3 years, you know exactly what title to look for. Because like this account has a lot of notes on it. So as the years go and more notes are added, you'll know exactly what to look for. And you can also, I don't think I mentioned, sort these. So these are currently sorted by date. Maybe you just want to do by the title. You want to see all of the collection calls that Lori's made, or calls in general, or history of non-pays. And that also goes for the sales part, sales and transactions. Or you want to see all of their current invoices or something like that. So these are all, you can click on them. Currently it sorts by date in descending order. Yeah, I don't know. I think digital was going to, because they also as well are just getting more acquainted with this portion of NetSuite, and then with the certain staff leaving and new staff coming, they haven't had a whole lot of NetSuite training either. So
So the question was, are Luke and Tyler in here yet? Messing around with that. I don't know that everybody has chat up.
I will maybe I can speak to that a little bit. I know we're also actually meeting again with the digital department again next week. Right now, the primary function for them is a lot of the past due accounts on you know, sending out emails to them. They have a past due process. So that's probably the bulk of where they use it. And I don't know, Luke and Tyler, who, if anyone who wants to speak it to any more that they do, but that is a kind of the primary place they are using it currently, is to add kind of past due information. Again, going forward, that will definitely change, as all projects will be in there, and there'll be a lot more the notes and things like that. But currently, that's the bulk of what's going to be in there on the digital side.
Yep. And that you would find under collaboration and messages probably. They might put a user note in, but a lot of it's going to be those website notices. Like this one, Brooke sent him a website notice. And they do have like a 30, 60, 90-day notice. So it's not just the same one over and over. And again, clicking on it, you'll be able to tell, you know, at what point they were sent their 30-day notice. And so if the account manager also spoke with the customer prior to sending this email, they might document other pertinent information into that email as well, instead of doing the user note.
Yeah, and I'll just add that I don't know exactly how much Tyler's been in this. I haven't been in NetSuite a whole lot at all, besides some of the invoicing stuff for sales. But as far as notes go, they're still getting updated and posted or saved in the internet. That way it's in one place and not some in here, some in there. So.
I was gonna see, the only thing I didn't put an example of is a credit memo. And so I'm gonna see if I can find one really quick. For a print customer like this one. So you guys can see what that would look like on their screen. Again, so we see that this one is, sometimes there is an email address in there, but they will get print. This one is email. So underneath sales and transactions, if you ever see a credit memo, both Williston, South Carolina 2022 and 2023 were sent to collections. And so that's a good thing to know that, or it'll say bad debt. Let me find one, and it'll say the book. That's why. It'll have the book code and the year, so that way you know what it's for. Here we go. Here's one. This was an old one, but it would probably work. We'll do that. I apologize if this is anyone's account. I promise I'm not picking on you. So sales and transactions. And on October 30th of 22, there was a credit memo created for this account. You again can click on these credit memos, and it will tell you what for. This is just a small amount. So they made a payment, and instead of it, they paid $714.50 instead of $714.60. So occasionally we do write off those small amounts. That's an old one. Go away.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So Kelly, so right now, basically, this is used for billing and that's it. I mean, that's all we can look up is billing. There's nothing else in here but billing for us. Correct?
Yes, yes and no. Billing and payments.
Yep.
And yeah, so it would be that. But again, like, I don't know if it was, I think Amy had said, if you guys want to document something special for that account,
Yep.
you certainly can.
Okay.
And then Lori and Susan put quite a few notes in here too. So
Mhm.
you're going to have notes on when they're talking to the customer, you know, things like that. So they would definitely add,
So if
particularly probably if they're past due.
So if I get something in my rep data share that says, past due account, blah, 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 instead of having to call into Susan or Lori, I can go on here and look and see if they've caught up before I get into the
Yep.
market, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so I pulled up a more recent credit memo. Again, I promise I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just pulling ones. South Central Iowa, there's a bad debt. And so if you click into the credit memo, it will tell you that it was a letter close unauthorized. And so the customer probably saw the letter close and didn't realize what it was, threw it away, and of course it got put in the book and they disputed it. There will be times where I think at that point so Susan and Lori are the ones that put these complaint adjustments in, and then Missy and I put them into NetSuite. I think Susan will also put notes in Yellow Magic for you guys that customer disputed it. Make sure to get an email or a email confirmation or a signature next year. I don't know if that would be something where they should document that in both places, or if it's fine just staying in Yellow Magic as a customer service note. Say this customer was advertising under this number and now they've changed their number and a different business has this, we'll put comments in there saying, you know, SCI 22 on this account, SCI 23 through current is on this account. So that way you guys are able to pull it up and look at it. Any questions, or do you guys want me to go over something again that doesn't quite make sense or I didn't touch on enough? And if you have questions as you're, you know, playing around in here on your own and you're like, oh, where was that? Or I'm not seeing this part, I can't find it, email or call us. Email's probably a little bit quicker because there are times where I forget to log into my phone. But email either customer service or billing and say, hey, you got a minute? And someone can either call you or we'll email you guys right back. So
Leah, if you go to the home screen, is there a shortcut for notes? I thought there was.
and so this is very customizable.
Mhm.
That's a good part. You can remove these, you can personalize it. I don't know for notes on a specific customer's account, I have not seen that. You can create reminders for yourself in here. And this just pertains to NetSuite release. So shortcuts, let's see. It's been a while since I've done a shortcut. You have to be able to know, oh, you can set up a shortcut for a website that maybe you visit often, I guess.
Hmm.
So let's see. Recent records will show here if you want that in there. I'm trying to think.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And
So
we
if you
can
were to
look
hit
at it
personalize.
too. We could look at that too. And if we are able to find something, we can certainly, you know, email that out or something, if that would be helpful. But again, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
I'll play around with it too
Yeah.
and see if I can find something.
And if there is something you want me to make instructions on, just let me know. And we can toss it in there. Well, here's phone calls. Let's play around with it together here. My phone call. Of course, I don't have any, and so you might be able to actually here. So I went into personalize and there was phone calls. And so anyone that you've had a phone call with, or that is the note is the type of a phone call, that may filter into here. You can move these around. Let's see. What else would be in personalize? I'm wondering if there is one for notes. Custom search, I think, is for just customers.
Yeah, we can definitely try to take that up and take a look and let everybody know, because
Yeah.
this might be a lot to figure out how to personalize
Yeah.
it too.
But there is a quick add, and it looks like we'd have to, Leanne, maybe we can try to modify that where we can, if it's pulling in phone calls, we should certainly be able to do user notes, I'd think. It's just where to find it and how to get it in there. So
If I may, I think the biggest concern here is a lot of this is great. It really doesn't help the rep us out in the field because there's too many places to go with the iPad. And when we're in there, we're making notes. For us to have to go somewhere else, to do that, especially if you're in front of the customer. That's not going to happen. We just don't have that kind of time. I don't have time after I get out running to my next appointment to do all this to go somewhere else to do it. It would be more helpful if we could do all this on the app and have a hidden note for the next year. I'll give you a good example. Yesterday, I happened to meet with Jason early in the morning before I went to the market with an account that I knew because I'd had it in the past to talk to him about it. And luckily I did, because he said, yeah, don't go to her anymore. You got to go to this person. And so I had to call or email my sales support to find out who signed that last year. And luckily I got the answer right away. I went right to her, bang, got it done. Had I gone to that other person that I used to deal with, I would have never got the signature on the spot. But there's many things like that are occurring in the field that we don't have notes to reflect on. Not going outside of the app to do this, that's just too much work. I'm just being totally honest here. If you were to take a vote with the sales reps that are on here, none of this information other than going to the billing is helpful to us. It just isn't. And I'm not complaining, I'm just stating a fact here. You know, so the app is the one that we need to work on. If we're not gonna have a customer thing that we can go quickly to refer to what happened last year, or even you, Amy, mentioned they like this and like that, I'm not gonna go here to list that. I don't even know if I'll have it next year or not.
Somebody has to put it in there. So who's going to
Yeah.
put it in there?
Well, how do I know I'm not going to have it next year? If I had to do it on the app, I would do it right away. But I'm not going to go juggle all over the place when I'm in the field to do this. And I'm not trying to be a downer or negative. I'm just bringing up real facts that we've been asking for and needed in the field here. This does not help us in the field unless you're looking for a billing situation and you don't know what's going on. And even that's going to take time to go and hunt this down. We need real life, instantaneous, that we can go and see the notes from last year, who signed the contract, and everything that we can get to not have it. We don't have that kind of time in the field. This is helpful. It's not very helpful to us in the field. It may be great for the people inside the office. It really has done very little for us. So if we're going to work on something with the notes, I wouldn't waste my time doing it on this. I would be doing it on the app where we use and we're on already. Before we go in, after we leave, we're already on the app. You know, that's where the place would be to put all the information that we're looking for. And again, I'm not trying to downplay this. This may be helpful to what everything she's presented is great. It does very little to nothing for us in the field. And I'm just stating something that I hear over and over from every single rep. We talk about this in all our meetings. And so this is great. It hardly has anything to do that's going to help me in the field, especially when it comes to the notes. We constantly have to either call our sales support or we just don't know and we go in blindly. Or if we had a place to put, not in the memos, it's going to show up and the customer is going to see a memo note that we can only see internally, so where we can document those kind of things. That would be 100% more helpful than putting it in this thing, because I'm never going to go to this. I can tell you, being in the field, too much trouble. I don't have that kind of time. I mean, we get out of one customer, bang, we're going to another one. Bang, we're going to another one. I don't have time to go all the way to NetSuite, dig around, look where I put that note, and whether should I even put that note in there, because I don't know if I'm not going to have it next year. So those are the type of things that are going to be more helpful to us. So if I wouldn't waste my time trying to find something to do in the notes on this thing, I would rather have you guys trying to find a way to do it on the app. And again, you're doing a great presentation. I'm not saying anything negative to what you're teaching us here, or we're watching, but from a perspective of being a rep out in the field, this does very little to nothing for us in the scope of the things that we're looking for that would be very helpful to us.
I mean, I kind of agree with Pedro. It just would be so much easier. We only have one tiny screen, and if all the notes, you know, like a private note could come up right in the app on your contracts. I mean, that's what we all use every day. We already have to do enough to prepare and meet with customers, you know, to have you know, maybe the cost the previous few years, and yeah, notes on a customer and who signed last year, stuff like that would be so important. I mean, it's hard to know, like, if anyone, you know, if you did have questions about things, or if it is a new account for you, if you know, you wouldn't even know if you were going to go into NetSuite if someone had put in notes previously. I mean, you'd have to just go to even find out if there was a note. You wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
That's
You know what?
tough part.
I'm just gonna jump in just real quick. I guess for the sake of, I can tell the conversation is a great one, and I don't want to stop you guys, but I would like to maybe just provide the opportunity for you guys to continue that discussion because it's super important, and I know it's the utmost important for you guys. The question I would have, is there any other specific things for Leah? Because maybe then some of the people are just looking at NetSuite can, you know, jump off and let you guys, you know, continue to have this important conversation too. So I don't know if that makes sense kind of for this meeting. Again, it sounds like there's great information that was being shared, but that you guys are really needing something more and different, that maybe that conversation can continue that way. Does that make sense?
It does, and thank you, Leanne. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but
No, there's just a lot of people that are looking at just NetSuite. And so by maybe kind of wrapping up the NetSuite conversation, because I can tell this is kind of getting into an additional conversation. So if we can just kind of wrap up the NetSuite for what it is, and then kind of again.
Well, and that's why I had jumped in, because the last statements here were we can work on that. Honestly, I'd be saying you're probably, I mean, if you need that on your end, that's great. It's not going to do anything for us out here. So I would say, hey, that's why I said, I almost feel like saying,
I hear, yep, I hear you. I have you. So
thank you.
I had to ask Leanne. I was like, an app? What app? NetSuite has an app. Yellow Magic has an app. And she's like, no, it's Encompass, which or the intranet. And so I definitely hear your guys' frustration with that. And the intention is not to add, oh, hey, you're already doing this. Now we're going to have you add into here too. So if it is something where you know this customer, again, Lori has this non-pay report, and you do have that time to either send an email real quick and ask, or you have that quick moment where you can log into NetSuite and just check to see if they've made a payment themselves. If they've made a payment before you go in, at least you're able to do that. You don't have to put user notes in there that something specific to a conversation you and the customer had. I get that can be.
Yeah, I think we need to have some more conversations about what's going on, but I guess the biggest point is, do we have any more specific questions for those that are on kind of looking at NetSuite? I think that maybe we need to.
So it just needs to be a billing aspect for right now for you guys, just so that you know going in, this account has a history of non-pays, and you just want to know, maybe you're going in before the office is actually open and you want to know if they've made a payment. You can at least look at that up now without having to rely on someone in the office or someone responding back to you to see if they've made that payment.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah. Any other questions right away on the NetSuite, so we can kind of let you guys continue, you know, maybe those that are here for just NetSuite can jump off and let you guys continue the very important conversation. Right. Perfect.
And like I said, if there are any questions, feel free to give a call or email either customer service or billing, and we'll help get you information on what you're looking for or where you're needing to find something at in there.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, Leah.
You're welcome.
Guys want to keep this line for a while? Jess, Amy, to discuss more, kind of, I'll let you guys make that choice here too.
Yeah, they'll have a couple, we'll go over a couple questions and discuss some more.
All right.
You guys have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, you too, Leah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Carrie had a question. Is there a way for prep notes to convert to non-prep memos? once an account is closed, and I did have that conversation with David quite a while back. And there is, but the only way to do it is in PDF form. And it would be all the prep notes for all the accounts. He wouldn't be able to separate them out and say, okay, here's Carrie's, here's Tammy's, here's Pedro's, here's Greg's. So you would get all the prep notes for all the accounts in the market. So you'd have to.
But when
through
you
and
got
say,
the new
"This
account,
is-"
you would have the note there, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So you just have to sort through and say, this is my account. This is not my account. This is my account. This is not my account.
Let me ask you a
would get-
question.
Wait, what?
You would
Why
get
would
all
you
the
look at
notes.
all
You would
why
get-
would you look at all
you would get-
non-print?
Because there's no way for him to sort.
So my thought was,
Prep
why
notes.
couldn't it pull, like, once you do a prep note, it converted, like, if you put it as an actual memo, right? Because our memos stay with the account.
That's what I was just
So
gonna
why
say.
Because
can't
it has
why
to be-
can't a prep note be pulled as a non-print memo on the account, and then when you got your K on the
Do
thing,
you know
could
how
just
memos are created?
in Yellow
No.
Magic?
Salesport types them in.
Oh, well,
Well, there's the answer to that I was gonna ask. If the memos come every year, why can't the notes come every year?
because
Except
I look back
Because
in
they're
M files
manually,
and look.
because they're manually entered. So
yeah,
that's
well,
a
you just
conversation we have
answered
to
that.
have.
Yeah, that's creating more work for somebody else. So I
Yep,
didn't know-
exactly.
we didn't know that. So but
Yeah.
that was the common sense question to us would be, well, if the memos could stay in there, why can't the notes stay
Well,
in there?
if sales support can put a note in, why can't we? I mean, what, like,
Yeah, when we're typing it in
Yellow
already.
Magic.
I mean, I'd love to be able to put a note in about the customer, you know.
Which would be great, but herein lies the issue, is there's only so much data space in Yellow Magic as there is in any other program that we have, and we've already dumped a bunch of stuff out of Yellow Magic because we were running out of room. So the more we add, the more it gets clogged up, the slower it runs, the longer it takes to update contracts, the more time it takes for us to pay people to stay in office because we have to keep shutting Yellow Magic down. So when we get those emails from Tina saying, hey, we have to shut Yellow Magic down for 6 hours, and then we have people sitting in the office because they can't do anything because Yellow Magic is shut down for 6 hours because she has to dump data.
Well, let's get more space. I don't know.
So
There isn't any. We're at the max space that we can have.
well, I'm just wondering here on the app, you know, we have all the tabs across the bottom. Sorry, I just took a screenshot by accident and now I can't get rid of it. The tabs across the bottom, you know, prep notes, address, definitions, callouts, those tabs. Why
Yeah.
can't we add a tab that would come back next year? Because all of this comes back to us next year, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
understand the prep notes disappear unless they're typed in by someone. So could we make a tab that we could put
Could, but
customer
all the
notes that we
information,
want to keep?
because all the information in that app gets uploaded from Yellow Magic. So the only way to get information
Ah.
into there is to be uploaded from Yellow Magic. So that's that. So therein lies like all of the issues that we've, and I'm still working with David to try and figure out somehow.
So it would be a good
Because-
thing for us to
because
be able to
here's-
do.
Well, because here's my thing, which I'm still batting around, because if we can upload those prep notes into a PDF or a spreadsheet, is there a way to, or even a spreadsheet, because Yellow Magic, anything that's uploaded into the app is uploaded as a spreadsheet, right?
The only thing with this, Amy, is that, I mean, that's still, you'd have to
Yeah.
put in every year, this customer likes the Packers.
You gotta go somewhere else.
Goes golfing.
Yeah.
Every year we're gonna put that, I mean, I don't put that stuff, I just know, like, I don't put that stuff in the prep note. I mean,
Right.
if
You
it
should
was
have
like
to put
in
it-
a permanent note, that would be great.
It should be a one-time entry.
Yeah, but you're saying, I mean, you'd have to put it in the prep notes every year, then you print out, and then you got a
Mhm.
PDF, and then you, it's another
It
thing you
should
gotta
be- It
reference.
should be like any other printed
I
note.
mean,
where
mean,
your
keep
second
adding
point of
stuff to the
contact
app.
is
Why-
John
what's the
Doe, and
difference
it
if we
should
have a
upload
little more
everything.
info in
Yep.
there? Like,
I know.
I know there's a way you can do this. It just sounds like another thing where people don't want to.
Yeah.
And every time we want
Or-
something that's really going to help us in the field, we don't
I
seem
know.
to be able to get it. It takes it's like pulling teeth.
I know.
I mean,
you're
how is it a
preaching to
bad
the
thing to have
choir.
notes on a customer like every other sales team in the
Mhm.
world?
I know. I know.
I mean, we have a computer program that has everything we do with a customer in one place, which is working great. We're just
Mhm.
missing that one component.
That one component. I know. I'll keep pushing it. I mean, and Jess and I have been pushing it for I don't know how long, but we'll keep. I'll push David again and I'll ask him again. Because even if you have to put it in, even if we have to create another tab that has just non-print memos on their own. If
I
he
really
can
like this
upload that, if
too.
he can upload that as a spreadsheet, and here's my thing, if he can upload it as a spreadsheet, there's no reason that from my way that my brain works, I don't have a David brain and maybe my brain is thinking wrong. There's no reason that spreadsheet, if it's coded correctly, can't load up next year, even if it's not in Yellow Magic, into that app and sort correctly with the correct numbers to the correct person with the, because everything's sorted by account number and account name.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, Amy. You just made me think about something. All these new tabs that were added, for instance, reference guide, and the other one is now the data rep share. Those have information, and we just go to them, and they're already there. What you're talking about, if the notes, and we could go to a tab like that, that takes us to, you go to the right, to the right market that you're in, and even if they were in there, that would be, at least we're still staying on the app and not have to wander off.
Right.
Because the biggest fear we have out here is if you wander off that app and then you're not able to get back on it, oh my gosh. Now you've just created a nightmare for yourself, because now you're in front of the customer and you got no way to get back in. And then and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems, as Nick alluded to, it just seems so easy, and it's such an integral part.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, and how many years have, the app's been in already, and we still haven't been able to create a database where we can put notes in that are so important. Even if you don't get it next year, I've got all adjacents now, and man, I have no clue what's going on. So
I think that's a lot of the misconception. They don't understand why that data is, well, I think they get why it's needed. I think they just don't understand, well, why can't you just look it up, or why can't you just go here and look it up? And it's like, I don't think they understand how easy it is for that app to just kind of get lost when you have 6 tabs, 6 other things open at the same time.
And also,
because they've
when
never
you're
been in your
office,
position.
you have 3 different screens to look at.
Exactly.
When we have one iPad.
Yep.
You can't even look at multiple different things at once.
That's when I'm talking to you guys. I always open my iPad. I don't do stuff on my screen.
I'm right now, during that meeting, I used my laptop to open up NetSuite because you need the screen. I mean, it's
exactly.
Otherwise, we need everything in one place.
Yep. And with this, you can't even open and I get the allure of NetSuite because you can look up the accounts and it's easy to add a note. But again, you're having to open not even an app, it's a website. You can't even go to an app, it's a website.
I've got the intranet open and our webpage.
Right.
So a solution.
So I get that it's it's everything in one. We can do for the company wide, it's a great idea because they can do their billing and they can tie in the websites and they can tie in this, but I don't know.
This is the app is our platform that we
and we should stick to it as much as possible.
It's great. I mean, it works great. Like it does. It just, if we could just like one more little thing, I think be like perfect, and then like, I mean, it doesn't seem that complicated. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I would love to, I think you could easily pre-populate this. I've been using this a lot lately but I have to go back to previous years' market assignments find out what was the BSR last year, because I know we reduced their costs. Because I want to know that when I'm going in there, because hey, remember last year we helped reduce your costs, so I'm thinking everything, should be at the value you're looking for now. I have to do that. Why can't it just auto populate? Like here, what was the BSR in 2023?
Yeah.
I mean, that should be able to auto populate, and then just having a simple note about what their likes and don't likes, and
Yeah.
it's just so.
Yeah.
I swear we won't come up with anything else we need after that.
It's the last one.
Well,
Because I utilize prep notes, being that I can access M files. I go back and look at my last year's notes and be like,
Yeah.
oh, this
Yes,
guy,
but you can't.
this, and I know you guys can't, and it has to be extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I
And
have to email my sales support every time. I make a list of them. When I haven't had a market or accounts before, I email Linda, how was this closed? Who signed this? What happened here? It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why can't they just?
Or if I could have a note saying why they decreased, because I got it because it's a bold listing now. And
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Amy, you've done a good job of taking it to David, because everything that we've asked for has been added, and all of a sudden we're going, wow, that's all we were asking for right there. And it's works. So I think he can come up with a place where we can put notes that'll be stored year after year. Honestly, that would be.
And edit them too. Like, it's like, because right now, even when the memos, you got to either delete the whole line or put in a special note for your sales support somewhere. Say, here, take this part of this memo out, but leave that.
Yeah.
Like, just a little thing where we can just have a couple.
Right.
Like a customer.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem that.
I agree.
Then it'd all be there then.
Yeah. Bob, are you on Facebook? You're on mute.
Yeah, but I have no input. I'm a short timer.
I just had to pick on you. Oh. And I know how much you love Facebook, so.
Well, actually, I'm playing Bubble.
Oh.
If this
Now
is
we
a
all know
data
what Bob
issue,
does during meetings.
excuse me, question. If this is a data issue with Yellow Magic, is there any way that we can maybe bypass or utilize, say, a different thing in the app, say, for example, like the additional email? Is there any way we can maybe convert that into maybe like a memo notes, and just if we have additional emails, just add them onto the email deal, or have an extra tab in that area to where we can add in a second email or something like that, and utilize that area or something, or what, or just something else on here that maybe we don't need to use every day that we can convert into like a note area.
I don't know.
But
I'm just not as smart as David. But I'll talk to him and Mandy next week and see what we can figure out, because it just can't be that hard. It's not like you guys are asking.
It's not our job to figure it out how to do it either.
You don't want an entire platform. All you want is someplace to add some notes.
Yeah.
And get them back next year.
Yep, and edit them.
And keep them private.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
So there has to be a way to do that without them having to be added into Yellow Magic.
Yeah. Where does it go when you add this email? Like if you go to add additional email, what happens?
It goes into outer space.
Yeah.
All that add additional email does is Bob's laughing at me. All that add additional email does, it doesn't save down anywhere. all that does is send that copy of the contract to that email and the one that's on the contract, and then it just goes away. It doesn't save down anywhere.
Okay. So where do the non-print memos come from that we see?
Those are the 215s. Those are keyed in by sales support. We
Not
just
every year.
Yeah,
Right.
they're keyed in, they're saved in Yellow Magic. They're just marked as a non-print memo, so the customer doesn't see them on the contract.
Yeah. So we should be able to put stuff into that and then pull them out. And I mean,
But we're not gonna key customer information in there like you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not gonna type in like.
I found out real quick. I didn't know that. I was typing all kinds of notes in there only to find out the next year that they were all gone. I'm like, what happened to all the notes I put in there? And then Tammy said, oh, we don't. I'm, oh, why did I do it then? Why did I do all that work? If there wasn't going to appear next year.
For me, Pedro, for me.
It was so Carrie can look up the contract
and
if
I got the account.
I'm just gonna add here something. I bristle a little bit at Amy's statement of they don't understand. I think there is an understanding.
Yeah.
The complication is there's 3 different softwares that are not built to talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And making something that does happen, I think an immediate solution would be to get licenses for M files for folks.
Yeah.
So to go in and look at the non-print memos. The problem is each of those licenses are about $7,000. I'm making that up, but I call it being very.
It is seven. It's between $600 and $700 though.
But that does not still solve your desire to have it right on the app. It's still going one other place. And so that's where all of the sticky wicket stuff comes how to get those notes from M files onto an app that only uses Yellow Magic.
Yeah.
Without adding a ton of production time or somebody typing your notes wrong or making a judgment that note doesn't matter, or, it gets sticky there. And that to me is the bottleneck.
Yeah.
And there are only a couple people that know how to program the app. And so we just keep on hoping that something will tickle the brain. And we can talk about licenses for M files, but I don't think that's ultimately what you're asking.
No.
About that little lightning bolt that's next to your reference guide, is there any way we could maybe edit that thing or get in and put notes into that thing where it tells about the business phone number and stuff like that?
Yeah, that auto populates every year. I agree. I was thinking something like that too.
It's like, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a neat little feature, but really it's not that important, I don't think. If we can somehow edit or put notes into that area, that'd be really handy actually.
Well, you can. Anything you type in your prep note area shows up in the lightning bolt.
I think Bob, I think he's talking about the top header part, like
yeah, you know where your
Gotcha.
reference guide is and your pricing sheet. Then you got a lightning bolt and then the camera.
Yeah.
You click on that, it gives you the information of the account. But if there's a way we could just touch it and then just type our notes in there, and would that stay? Is that an option or what?
I'd have to ask David.
There you go.
All right.
Solution resolved, right?
Yeah, no problem.
We're done. Call it a day.
All right. I gotta kind of run.
Okay.
Emmy, kids are home today.
They're anxious for dad to get off the phone.
Well, I gotta try to find some other kids for them to play with so I can work.
I gotcha.
Well, thanks, Amy. I know it kind of, I probably opened up a can of worms, but I think it needs to be heard again. I kind of agree with both you and Jess. I think I do lean on the fact that I sometimes wonder and shake my head and go, does he really understand? This is something so simple. I can't imagine that he can't understand what we're asking for. But then again, Jess had a good explanation to that as well.
Yeah.
So you know what? We just gotta keep, like I said, everything that we said, nope, you can't do that. Nope, you can't do that. All of a sudden has been done. So we're just gonna keep pushing. That's all we could do. But I do thank you, and it did help this morning. You know, I didn't know where we were going to go with this. I was afraid it was going to go where it went, but I think as long as somebody picked up on something that's going to help them with that, that's very, for me, that's a tool I hardly ever use. It's much quicker for me just to call Tammy and find out. I'm not, I don't have that kind of time to call and search. And look.
Yeah, all I do is email Lori. I look at the non-pay sheets and I email her on every single one of these people. Okay.
That's what I do.
I think
today seemed more for billing, not us.
I don't know why.
Yeah. But anyway, we got to keep trying and going. And at least it opened this conversation up that hopefully, somebody watches or listens to it and says, man, if they're asking for this, they must really need it. It would just be so helpful for us. Like Nick said, I can't promise that we're not going to ask for anything else, because I really believe that the things that we've been asking for that have been added have been a tremendous help already. We've gone so far with this app. It's a wonderful tool, but that important part is really, really a piece that really needs to be added for internal notes. But anyway, you get the gist. Hopefully somebody else will get it and we'll get this thing resolved. But thank you for the meeting today.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Have a good weekend. We'll do
you guys
it
too.
on our end.
You want to do a drawing or not?
Oh, Jess, that's on Jess. I don't know.
Yeah, Jess, do you want to do a drawing?
Oh, I sure do.
We got half everyone else off. More chances for me.
So much for those suckers.
Yeah. Thanks, Pedro.
Last winner of Paul, and you choose a number between 1 and 12. He said 27. That's all I can understand on the lip read. You're on mute.
He read his lips.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Paul.
He's working on it.
Read his lips. Somebody read his lips.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I apologize for that. I said number 7.
Oh, you were close, Jess. She was reading your lips.
Oh, you're the winner.
Who is Pedro?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Can you win twice in a row?
I don't know.
You can't if somebody calls your name.